It's the biggest craze in pop culture, reality TV. But is it doing blacks more harm than good? Here with their 2 cents are Alicia Quarles, entertainment editor at the Associated Press, John Murray, entertainment reporter for the Tom Joyner Morning Show, and Kelly Beatty, former reality contestant for this year's season of The Apprentice. There's no better group than you three to talk about this stuff. I'm serious.
Thank you.
I am wondering about black popular culture. We see reality TV becoming a bigger part of it. Some of the biggest stars we know from reality TV. What's the reason for that? Why are more people turning to reality TV?
I think, first of all, there's more reality TV to consume. Reality TV is cheap to produce, so it's not episodic, so people are suddenly flooding the markets. But, you know, I got to say that I don't think that it puts black people worse off. I think reality TV is an equal opportunity offender. Look at Jersey Shore. That's a white cast that look just as bad as Tiny and Toya.
That's true. John, what do you make of sort of black people's space?
Well, I think reality television is one of the only genres on TV where there is variety. You have serious shows, and you've had bumpy shows like Harlem Heights that didn't necessarily do very well for BET and other networks. And then, you know, you get shows even like Flavor of Love that have gone off. They've run their course. So there is a variety of shows out there. We just have to watch the good stuff so that they can stay on the air.
But it seems like the stuff that sticks the most, Kelly, is the bad stuff. Flavor of Love had, what, 3 seasons?
Maybe 5.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
Were you watching?
We had that. I saw that. I saw I Love New York. I saw Chance and...
So you're the one.
Yeah, I am the problem. I am not part of the solution when it comes to reality TV. I watch this bad stuff. Why are we so attracted to these kind of images?
You know, I think it's who we are as people. I mean, you know, it's the same question, why, you know, when there's a wreck, does everybody slow down and watch it on the highway? You know, I think we enjoy, for whatever reason, watching other people's tragedies. I think it's escapism in some respect. But I think it's exactly what you said. I mean, I'm very guilty. I'm a reality television addict, probably much more than I care to admit. But it's exactly that. And when you look at the ratings and you look at the numbers, you know, it's usually the stories that make us all want to close our eyes. That's what everybody else is watching.
I keep thinking about these recurring kind of characters in reality television, right? Every year on Real World, there's an angry black guy. You know, whether it's Chris, who threw Tammy's blanket 10 years ago. Oh, y'all remember that?
Yes.
You remember that, right?
Yes.
Oh, you know, yeah, Kevin Powell. It seems like there's a recurring thing. Will Collins or Will Mega on Big Brother. There's these recurring characters of these angry black guys.
My friend Tech Holmes was the fun-loving guy on The Real World.
Okay, right. Then there's that guy.
Anomaly.
He broke the stereotype.
Yeah, then there's the fun-loving black guy. There's like Jervis on Survivor. I mean, there seem to be roles for black people on Survivor. There's the angry black woman we see on a lot of these shows. Isn't that dangerous?
Well, I think reality TV is not really reality. So what you're saying is that these people are getting cast in a sense, and it is dangerous. But it's also dangerous when you have Bret Michaels on Bus Rock a Love Tour, whatever it's called, you know, sleeping with all these women. So I don't think it's just a black thing. I think that these are certain roles that are cast. And I think to go back to John's point, when there are positive representations, like, what's the show, the BT show?
Tiny and Toya was a good one.
Yeah, I'm saying, but people consume the bad
Surprisingly
stuff
positive.
instead of the good stuff.
No, it was that.
I promise you.
She's like, wait a minute, I was with you for a minute.
No, you never watched it. I promise you.
I've watched it.
Let me tell you.
Where's the positive
Toya
in
was
that?
such a good mom that I wanted to go spend the weekend at her house, have her make cereal for me, and walk me to the school bus. I'm serious. It was a great show.
That's a different kind of fantasy.
Tiny was starting a business. She was an entrepreneur. She was taking care of families. She was showing life after an R&B group. It was surprisingly positive.
But I think it raises a good point. I think it makes sense to ask the question, what do we consider to be bad images? I mean, if you look at society as a whole, a lot of what we consider to be standard and you know, who we once ascribed to be may or may not longer be the case. So I think as society has changed, I think we see that represented in television too.
No, and that's interesting because that speaks to this issue of complexity, right? And in some ways you did that. I mean, you chose to take on a show where you weren't going to be like an I Love New York host or like a Flavor of Love contestant. I mean, you took a more positive role. You took an entrepreneurial role. What was that like?
For me, it was amazing. I mean, you know, The Apprentice is a great brand, and I was lucky to be in season 10. I was also part of the Recession Apprentice, which is very different and I think reflective of what's happening in society right now. So, you know, to come out and say, hey, America, I lost my job, like, you know, that was a big deal. But what I appreciated about this show is that it gave America an opportunity to say, what does the unemployed look like? What do people without insurance look like? Well, this is what they look like, you know. So I think if we take the platforms and have these kind of conversations, and I think that's why black media is important, so we can add context around what we're seeing. You know, for me, it was a great experience, even just being able to be here and have this conversation.
How much stuff behind the scenes shapes what we see on the camera? How often do they make a decision to tell a contestant, for example, act a little more bougie, act a little more ghetto. Why don't you have another fight? Why don't you kiss that guy? I mean, how much of that stuff happens behind the scenes?
A lot of times, reality TV shows have producers. They have directors. If it's reality television, what are you directing? That's saying, Nene said this. Why don't you react? Wait, let's reshoot that scene. And I think you saw that at the end of The Hills when they kind of lifted the veil off. And the last episode, was it staged? Was the whole thing real? We don't know. So a lot of it is completely staged and scripted, and there's no reality in reality television.
Did you feel that, Kelly?
No, and I was going to say, I think it's important to make the distinction that, there's variety even within the reality television genre. So, yes, there are some kind of reality TV soap operas, and that's what you see in The Hills, and that's what you see in kind of Real Housewives. I think when you look at the show I did, we were never prompted to do things. I mean, what you see on our show is actually what happened.
But when people are competing for money and for jobs, all the crazy comes out.
No,
so
and that's the added, right? And that's the added. I mean, we are in pressure cooker situations. We're placed in environments where we would never be in real life. You want me to build a hotel in 2 days? Oh, okay, sure.
Right.
But to your point, I mean, you get the best of people when you tell them you're going to do this for 2 days, you're sleep deprived, you're hungry, and y'all probably don't even like each other that much.
There was a lot of talk about Omarosa in particular on The Apprentice. I happen to think she's a very strong character, very strong-willed, very positive, but some saw her in a very negative light.
Sure.
Was there any pressure to respond to her or to be different than her or to even think about her while you're navigating?
I don't think there was as much pressure to respond to or to be different as. I think for me the pressure was to be Kelly. And I think going back to your earlier point, when you're put in these environments, parts of you come out that you've maybe never seen before. And so where you struggle is, am I being true to who I am?
And it's about sometimes playing into those stereotypes. Like, I know Omarosa is your girl, but I think she's made a career off of being the villain. Flavor of Flav, or Flavor, Flavor of Love.
Get my show right.
Excuse me.
Get my show. I need that.
After he saw the ratings from the first season and VH1 wanted to bring him back, he played into that stereotype.
Even more
so. So I think it's about once people see the money and they see they can cash in on this, then they take it to the bank.
And it depends on what your objectives are, because Omarosa is quite aware of the role that she plays.
Exactly.
I mean, I've been out with her at dinner when people come up to her and they're like, oh my God, you're really sweet. And she's like, well, don't put that on Twitter or Facebook because it won't work,
right.
And so it's knowing what your objectives are and what you want to get out of this whole reality show genre.
I mean, this speaks partly also to an obsession we have with other people's business and other people's lives. I mean, your job is to get in other people's business.
We're in the business of access, and people want to live vicariously through people. That's why we love people's rise, we love their fall, and we love a comeback story because we can want to relate to these people.
And with reality TV, to some extent, we don't even need y'all anymore. We can go right to their lives.
To the source.
That's right.
I hope that doesn't scare y'all too much. Y'all might be out of a job.
Oh, please.
Maybe we'll do a reality show about y'all next. That's what it'll be. Thank you all so much for being here. Alicia Quarles, John Murray, Kelly Beatty, thank you so much. Up next, fighting hunger one plate at a time.
It just takes the loss of a job or a serious disability to take someone from middle income, spiral right down to low income, spiral down again into poverty.